Day 1 stepped off the transport shuttle and onto Celestial Station Alpha for the first time. The massive orbital platform stretched out before him like a small city floating in space. Lights from hundreds of different sections glowed in colors he had never seen on Earth. This was it. His new home for the next 2 years as an engineer for the Galactic Council. He adjusted his uniform and picked up his single bag. The station was enormous, home to representatives from 200 different alien species. Day 1 had studied many of them during his training, but seeing the variety in person made his heart race with excitement. A tall, thin creature with blue skin walked past him. Then a small floating being surrounded by a shimmer of energy drifted by. This was everything he had dreamed of since humanity joined the Council 3 years ago. As Day 1 walked through the arrival terminal, he noticed something strange. Other species seemed to move away from him. A group of insect-like aliens saw him coming and quickly stepped to the side, pressing themselves against the wall. He smiled and nodded at them, trying to be friendly. They did not smile back. Their large compound eyes just watched him until he passed. Maybe they were shy, he thought. Or maybe they did not like humans yet. He knew some species had voted against allowing humans into the Council. There was probably still some tension. The orientation office was located in the central hub. Day 1 followed the signs through corridors that changed color and gravity as he moved between sections. Some areas felt normal. Others made him feel slightly lighter or heavier. The aliens around him seemed to adjust their walking, but Day 1 found he barely noticed the changes after a few minutes. At the office, a reptilian alien named Krill greeted him. Krill had green scales and spoke through a translation device that hung around his long neck. He was the ambassador assigned to help new humans adjust to station life. "Welcome, Day 1, Krill said. His actual voice was a series of clicks and hisses, but the translator made it sound like standard speech. "I am Ambassador Krill. I will help you settle in." "Thank you, Ambassador," Day 1 replied, bowing slightly the way he had been taught. "I am excited to be here." Krill's head tilted in what might have been surprise. "You are excited?" "Yes, very much. I have wanted to work with alien technology since I was a child." Krill made a sound that the translator did not convert. Then he said, "I see. Well, let me show you to your quarters. You start work tomorrow in the engineering department." Over the next few days, Day 1 noticed the pattern continued. Aliens avoided him in hallways. In the dining area, empty seats appeared around wherever he sat. When he asked questions during training sessions, the instructors answered quickly and then moved on to other topics. He was not imagining it. Something was wrong. His first real assignment came on his 4th day. The engineering team had a problem with the power distribution system in Section 7. Energy kept fluctuating, causing lights to dim and equipment to malfunction. Day 1 attended the meeting where 20 engineers from different species discussed solutions. The lead engineer, a floating being named Vez, explained the situation. "The conduits are damaged, but the radiation levels near the problem area are too high. We need to reroute power through Section 9 instead." Day 1 looked at the display showing the radiation readings. They were high, but not impossible. He raised his hand. "Excuse me, but why not repair the conduits directly? The radiation is only at 400 rems. With proper shielding, someone could work there for several hours safely." The entire room went silent. Every alien eye turned to look at him. Fess's translation device made a sound like a gasp. 400 rems would kill most of us in minutes, Vess said slowly. "Even with shielding, the exposure would cause permanent damage." "Oh," Day 1 said, feeling embarrassed. "I apologize. I forgot that different species have different tolerances. For humans, 400 rems is dangerous but manageable with equipment. I could do the repair myself if needed." 3 engineers near him physically moved their chairs backward. A small furry alien in the corner made a whimpering sound. Vess floated higher, as if trying to create distance. "That will not be necessary. We will proceed with the reroute." After the meeting, Day 1 tried to apologize to his colleagues, but they dispersed quickly. He was standing alone in the corridor when Hana found him. Hana was a human diplomat in her 40s. She had been on the station for over a year, and was one of the first humans to work directly with the Council. She had kind eyes but also looked very tired. "Day 1, she said, approaching him carefully. "We need to talk about." An alarm cut her off. Red lights began flashing throughout the corridor. An announcement in multiple languages echoed through the station. Emergency on Torvin 3, mining collapse. 17 workers trapped. All rescue teams report to Bay 5. Hana's face went pale. That's bad. Torvin 3's mines are deep underground. The atmosphere there is toxic. They rushed to Bay 5 where a crowd of officials had gathered. On the screens they could see the situation. A mining tunnel on the nearby moon had collapsed. 17 aliens from various species were trapped below. The structure was unstable. Toxic gas was filling the chamber. The temperature readings showed 340 degrees Celsius and rising. Captain Thex, a large reptilian who commanded station security, was directing rescue teams. But every team that analyzed the situation came back with the same answer: impossible. The conditions were too extreme. Any rescue attempt would result in more deaths. Daewon watched the screens showing the trapped workers. Some were injured. All were clearly terrified. He looked at the data again. High temperature, toxic air, unstable structure. It was dangerous, certainly, but humans had worked in similar conditions on Earth. Deep mines, volcanic research stations, industrial accidents. I can go, he said. Not loudly, but clearly. The room turned to look at him. Hana grabbed his arm. Daewon, no. You don't understand. I understand they need help, he said simply. The conditions are survivable for a human with proper equipment. I have training in rescue operations from my time in emergency services back home. Captain Thex approached, his large form towering over Daewon. You would volunteer for this? Yes, sir. You understand you might die? I understand there are 17 people who will definitely die if no one tries. The captain stared at him for a long moment. Then he turned to his team. Get him a suit. Contact any other human rescue specialists on the station. He looked back at Daewon. I do not understand your species, but I will not stop you from trying. As Daewon suited up, he saw Hana watching him with an expression he could not read. It was not quite fear, not quite pride. Something else entirely. They are afraid of us, she said quietly. I was trying to tell you. But maybe this will help them understand we are not the enemy. Daewon checked his equipment. Everything looked good. Through the window of the bay, he could see the moon where 17 lives hung in the balance. I don't want them to be afraid, he said. I just want to help. He did not see the way every alien in the room watched him walk toward the shuttle. He did not hear their whispered conversations or see them checking human biological data on their devices with growing disbelief. All Daewon saw were people who needed saving. The shuttle launched toward Torvin 3, and the station held its breath. The shuttle carrying Daewon descended through the thin atmosphere of Torvin 3. Through the window he could see the mining facility below, its lights dim and flickering. Another shuttle pulled alongside his. Inside was Minho, a human rescue specialist who had been working on a different part of the station. Minho was older, maybe in his late 30s, with calm eyes and steady hands. Their shuttles landed near the mine entrance. As they stepped out, Daewon saw the rescue teams that had attempted earlier. Aliens in bulky environmental suits stood at a safe distance, their equipment smoking and damaged. Some were being treated for minor injuries by medical staff. A Sorosian engineer approached them. Her name tag read Commander Vix. She looked at the two humans with what might have been concern or confusion. It was hard to tell with her reptilian features. The tunnel entrance is 200 meters down, she explained, pulling up a holographic map. After that, another 150 meters through collapsed sections. The temperature is now at 355 degrees. The atmosphere is 78% sulfur dioxide. Our strongest suits failed at the entrance. The structure is collapsing more every minute. Daewon studied the map while Minho checked their equipment. Their suits were standard human industrial gear, rated for extreme environments. Nothing special, really, just good engineering. We will need cutting tools, Minho said, and probably some support beams if the tunnel is collapsing. You cannot be serious, Commander Vix said. Your suits look thinner than ours. How can they possibly protect you? They're designed for humans, Daewon explained. Our biology is different. We can handle higher temperatures and our oxygen needs are lower. I have read the files, Vix said slowly, but seeing it is different. Please be careful. Back at the station, Dr. Yuna had arrived at the command center. She was a xenobiologist who specialized in understanding how different species survived in various environments. She had brought medical supplies just in case. Captain Thex stood beside her, watching the video feed from the moon. Explain to me how this is possible, he said. The temperature alone should kill them. Yuna pulled up a display showing human physiology. Humans evolved on a planet with extreme conditions. Our bodies can regulate temperature very effectively. We sweat to cool down. Our cells can survive brief exposure to temperatures that would cook most species. And our pain tolerance is unusually high. Pain tolerance? Most intelligent species evolved to avoid pain at all costs because their bodies are fragile. Humans evolved to push through pain because our environment kept trying to kill us. We had to be able to run from predators even when injured, to work even when uncomfortable. It became part of how we survive. On the screen, Daewon and Minho entered the mine. The camera feeds from their suits showed what they were seeing. The tunnel walls glowed with heat. Gas hung in the air like a yellow fog. Every few seconds, rocks would fall from above. Council members gathered in the chamber to watch. This was unprecedented. Most rescue attempts in such conditions were abandoned. The idea of going in anyway seemed insane to them. Daewon moved carefully through the tunnel, checking the walls for stability. His suit readouts showed external temperature at 362 degrees. Inside, his body temperature was slightly elevated but manageable. He was sweating heavily, but that was normal. The suit recycled his moisture and kept his core cool. First obstacle, Minho's voice came through the comm. A large section of tunnel had collapsed completely, blocking the way forward. They pulled out cutting tools and began working on creating a path through the debris. An hour passed. Then 2. The council members watching could not believe what they were seeing. The 2 humans worked without stopping. They cut through metal, moved rocks, reinforced weak sections. When one got tired, the other took over. But neither seemed to actually stop. Do they not need rest? Asked a council member. They are resting, Yuna explained. Humans can perform hard labor for hours as long as we maintain hydration and oxygen. We are endurance hunters. We literally evolved to chase prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. We don't sprint fast, but we never stop. 3 hours in, they reached the trapped workers. The chamber was worse than the scans had shown. Part of the ceiling had fallen on 2 of the workers, pinning them down. The others huddled in a corner where the air was slightly less toxic. Daewon assessed the situation quickly. The trapped workers were large, maybe twice his size. Moving the debris would be difficult. Minho, we need to lift this section. They positioned themselves and began to lift. Their muscles strained. The rock was heavy, far heavier than what humans normally could move. But adrenaline helped. So did the knowledge that lives depended on them. The rock shifted, moved, rose. The trapped workers pulled themselves free, crying out in relief and pain. Can they walk? Minho asked. One could. One could not. His leg was badly broken. I'll carry him, Daewon said. Back on the station, an alien medic looked at Yuna in shock. Carry? That worker is 400 pounds of mass. A human cannot watch, Yuna said quietly. Daewon lifted the injured alien onto his shoulders in a fireman's carry. The weight was immense. His legs shook, but he started moving back toward the entrance. Minho led the other workers, supporting those who stumbled. 4 hours. 5 hours. 6 hours. The humans kept moving. They rotated who carried the heaviest injured workers. They reinforced sections that looked ready to collapse. They kept everyone calm when panic started to set in. At 7 hours, they emerged from the mine entrance. All 17 workers survived. Some had injuries, but all were alive. Medical teams rushed forward to help. The alien workers were taken to shuttles and treated immediately. Daewon and Minho removed their helmets. Their faces were red from the heat. Sweat poured down their skin. Their hands shook slightly from exhaustion. A medic scanned them with a medical device. Your body temperature is 39.5 degrees. Your heart rate is elevated. You have minor burns and your muscles show signs of extreme stress. We're fine, Daewon said, drinking water from a bottle someone handed him. Just tired. Maybe a bit sore tomorrow? The medic looked at his readings again, then at Yuna, who had come down on a shuttle. This is normal for them? After 7 hours of extreme labor in lethal conditions? Yuna smiled slightly. Yes, this is normal recovery. The shuttle ride back to the station was quiet. Daewon looked out the window at the stars, thinking about the workers they had saved. He felt good. Tired but satisfied. It had been a hard day's work, but they had helped people. That was what mattered. When they docked at the station, something had changed. The bay was full of people. Aliens from dozens of species had gathered. As Daewon stepped off the shuttle, they did not move away this time. They stared, but the fear in their eyes was mixed with something else now. Respect, maybe. Or awe. Captain Thex approached. The large Saurosian warrior looked at the two humans for a long moment. Then he did something unexpected. He bowed, lowering his head in a gesture of deep respect. "You have my gratitude," he said. "All 17 workers are being treated. All will survive thanks to you." Daewon bowed back, feeling embarrassed by the attention. "We just did what anyone would do." "No," Thex said firmly. "You did what only your species can do. I understand now. I understand the warnings in the old files." He paused. "Humanity is terrifying, but perhaps that is exactly what the galaxy needs." Later, in his quarters, Daewon tried to sleep but could not. His muscles ached in a good way, but his mind was troubled. Through his window, he could see other sections of the station. Somewhere out there, 17 people were with their families because he and Minho had helped. But he also remembered the fear in alien eyes, the way they whispered about humans. The warnings Thex mentioned. What warnings? What did they think humans were? He was just an engineer who liked to help people. What was so terrifying about that? 2 weeks after the rescue, Daewon had become famous on the station. Everywhere he went, aliens stopped to watch him pass. Some showed respect now, but many still looked afraid. He did not understand why saving people made them fear him more. He met Jiwon in the station's library section. Jiwon was a graduate student studying ancient civilizations across the galaxy. She had arrived on the station a month before Daewon. She was young, maybe 25, with bright, curious eyes and a quick smile. "You look troubled," she said, sitting across from him in the quiet reading area. "I don't understand what's happening," Daewon admitted. "I help people, and they act like I'm dangerous. What do they think we are?" Jiwon leaned forward. "I've been wondering the same thing. There are restricted files in the Galactic archives about humanity. Files from before we joined the Council. I've been trying to get access, but my clearance isn't high enough. Can we try together? Maybe my clearance as an engineer combined with yours as a researcher." They spent the next day navigating the bureaucracy. Finally, they got permission to meet with historian Velmara, an elderly Orithian who maintained the archives. She looked like a large bird with brilliant purple feathers and wise golden eyes. She had lived for over 300 years and remembered when humans were first discovered. "You want to know why your species frightens others?" Velmara said. It was not a question. Her office was filled with data crystals and old displays. "I suppose you have earned the right to understand." She activated a holographic display. Images of Earth appeared. Beautiful blue oceans, green continents, white clouds. "Your planet is what we call a death world," Velmara explained. "Most species evolved on planets with stable climates, moderate temperatures, and relatively safe environments. Earth is not like that." The display showed hurricanes, massive storms that could destroy cities, tornadoes, tsunamis, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions. Each image showed destruction on a massive scale. "These disasters happen regularly on your world," Velmara continued. "Any one of them would be a civilization-ending event for most species. But humans adapted. You learned to survive them." Jiwon stared at the images. "I never thought about it that way. These things are just normal weather patterns to us." "Exactly," Velmara said. "What you call normal would be apocalyptic to us." The display changed to show Earth's wildlife. A lion hunting, a bear protecting cubs, sharks in the ocean, venomous snakes, spiders. "Your planet has thousands of species that can kill you," Velmara said. "Most inhabited worlds have perhaps 10 or 20 dangerous predators. Earth has them on every continent, in the oceans, even in your homes. Small creatures with deadly poison, large creatures that hunt in packs, and humans survived by becoming better hunters than all of them." Daewon watched footage of ancient human hunters. They chased animals for days across open plains, never stopping, until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. Persistence hunting. Humans were not fast, but they never gave up. Then there are your medical records. Velmara pulled up new files. Council observers documented many cases before first contact. Humans who survived falls that should have been fatal. Humans who lost limbs and continued fighting. Humans who were clinically dead and came back to life. One file showed a human who had been underwater for 40 minutes, dead by any medical standard, but humans had revived her, restarted her heart, and she survived with full brain function. "That's impossible for most species," Velmara said quietly. "Our brains die within minutes without oxygen. Yours can survive much longer." The files continued. Humans climbing mountains where the air was too thin to breathe properly. Humans diving to ocean depths that would crush most species. Humans running for days without stopping. Humans surviving in deserts and frozen wastelands and jungles filled with disease. Your healing factor is extraordinary, Velmara showed medical scans. A broken bone that would permanently cripple one of my species heals completely in a human within weeks. Cuts close themselves. Your immune system fights off infections that would kill most of us. Jiwan looked at her own hand, flexing her fingers. We just call that normal healing. I know, Velmara said. That is what makes it so unsettling. The display shifted to military history. Ancient human warfare. Modern conflicts. The images were difficult to watch. Humans fighting for days without rest. Soldiers continuing to fight with terrible injuries. Tactical innovations born from thousands of years of constant warfare. Most species had brief periods of conflict in their history, Velmara explained. Humans have been at war almost continuously for your entire recorded history. You learn to fight in every environment, against every type of enemy, and you learn to keep fighting even when logic said you should. Surrender, a file showed a human soldier, who had lost an arm in combat but still rescued 3 wounded comrades before accepting medical treatment. Another showed a group of humans who held a defensive position for 5 days without food or sleep, against overwhelming odds. Your psychology is unique, Velmara continued. Most species evolved to flee danger. You evolved to confront it. Most species bond only with their own kind. You bond with everything. You keep predators as pets. You cry when fictional characters die in stories. You risk your lives for strangers. Daewon remembered the rescue on Torvin 3. That just seems right. How could we not help? That thought right there is what makes you terrifying, Velmara said gently. You genuinely don't understand that self-preservation should come first. You override your survival instincts with emotion and duty. The historian pulled up more recent files. Videos from Earth taken secretly by council observers before contact. Humans engaging in extreme sports. Jumping from aircraft for fun. Climbing sheer rock faces without equipment. Diving with sharks. Skiing down dangerous mountains. You pursue danger recreationally, Velmara said. You consume poison for pleasure. You call it alcohol, caffeine, spicy food. Things that would harm or kill other species you ingest deliberately because you enjoy the sensation. Jiwan laughed weakly. When you explain it that way, we do sound insane. Not insane, Velmara corrected. Adapted. You are perfectly adapted for survival on a death world, but that adaptation makes you incredibly dangerous on any other world. She pulled up one final file. It was marked with highest security clearance. Council Elder Prax had authorized its release specifically for this meeting. The file contained a single statement from the first Council contact team who observed Earth. Recommend extreme caution. Species shows no natural understanding of personal limitations. They genuinely believe any obstacle can be overcome with sufficient effort and sacrifice. This mindset, combined with their physical capabilities, makes them potentially the most dangerous species we have encountered. However, they also show extreme empathy and loyalty. Recommend friendship rather than conflict. Humanity will either be our greatest ally or our worst nightmare. We must never make them our enemy. Daewon sat back stunned. They thought we might be an enemy? Some did, Velmara said. But Elder Prax argued for contact and cooperation. He believed that your capacity for empathy would outweigh your capacity for violence. So far, he has been proven correct. That evening, Daewon received a private message. Elder Prax wanted to meet with him. The Elder's quarters were simple but filled with artifacts from hundreds of worlds. Prax himself was difficult to describe. His species existed partially out of normal spacetime, appearing as a shimmer in the air with vague features. You have seen the files. Prax's voice was like wind chimes. You understand now why we watch humans carefully. I understand the facts, Daewon said, but I still don't feel dangerous. I'm just a person trying to do my job. That is exactly the point, Prax said. You don't realize you are doing anything unusual. When you volunteered for that rescue, you saw it as simply helping people in trouble. You didn't see it as an impossible task that would kill any normal being. But it was possible. We did it, yes, because you are human. Prax floated closer. I have lived for 800 years. I have seen thousands of species rise and fall. Humanity is unique, not because you are the strongest or the smartest. You are unique because you do not accept limitations that every other species sees as absolute truth. Daewon thought about this. Is that bad? It is neither bad nor good. It simply is. but it means we must learn to understand each other. Other species must learn that humans will do things we consider impossible, and humans must learn that their normal capabilities are extraordinary to everyone else. I will try, Day One promised. That is all any of us can do. Prax's voice held something like warmth. Your species has a saying, I believe. With great power comes great responsibility. You have the power. Now you are learning the responsibility. Day One left the elders' quarters with much to think about. The station corridors seemed different now. Every alien he passed represented a species that had evolved in safety and comfort, without Earth's constant dangers. They had never needed to develop human resilience because their worlds never demanded it. Humans were not better, just different, shaped by a world that tried to kill them every day until they became unkillable. The tension on Celestial Station had been building for weeks. The Cravath Dominion, a militant empire that controlled 12 conquered systems, was demanding the Council surrender 3 contested colony worlds. The Cravath were reptilian warriors, each one standing nearly 3 meters tall, covered in natural armor plating, with claws that could tear through metal and venomous fangs. They had never lost a ground battle in their 1,000-year history. Lieutenant Su-Yun was walking her security patrol when the alarm sounded. She was human, former military back on Earth, now working as part of the station's security force. She had been a soldier for 12 years before joining the Council. The alarm pattern made her blood run cold. It was the breach alert. All stations, this is Captain Thex. We have hostile boarding parties in sectors 4, 7, and 9. Cravath forces have breached the hull. This is not a drill. Defend yourselves, Su-Yun's training kicked in immediately. She secured her weapon and ran toward Sector 7, where civilian quarters were located. If the Cravath had reached there, families were in danger. In the agricultural wing, Taewon was teaching a class about earth crops to young students. His daughter Kyung was there, sitting in the front row with her friends. Kyung was 8 years old, small for her age, with her mother's bright smile. She loved learning about plants and wanted to be a botanist when she grew up. The alarm confused the alien children. Some began to cry. Taewon kept his voice calm. Everyone, please follow the emergency protocols. Move to the safe room quietly and quickly. He began leading them down the corridor, Kyung holding his hand. But they had only gone 20 meters when the wall exploded inward. 3 Cravath warriors stepped through the breach. Their armor gleamed in the station lights. Their eyes, cold and yellow, scanned the corridor. One of them saw the children and made a sound like laughter. Hostages, the Cravath leader said in surprisingly clear standard language. The Council will negotiate now. Taewon stepped in front of the children. His heart was pounding, but his voice stayed steady. Let them go. Take me instead. The Cravath leader moved forward. He was enormous, nearly twice Taewon's height. You are human. I have heard of your kind. But you are still just prey. He reached past Taewon, his clawed hand going toward Kyung. Kyung screamed. That scream changed everything. Taewon moved without thinking. His hand grabbed the Cravath's wrist and twisted. The Cravath, shocked, pulled back. Taewon used that momentum to drive his elbow into the warrior's throat, striking the gap in his armor plating. The Cravath made a choking sound. Run! Taewon shouted to the children. Run to the safe room! The other children scattered. But Kyung stood frozen in fear. The second Cravath warrior moved toward her. Taewon threw himself between them, taking a slash from the warrior's claws across his shoulder. Pain exploded through him, but he grabbed Kyung and pushed her toward a side corridor. Run to Lieutenant Su-Yun. Go! Kyung ran, tears streaming down her face. Across the station, Su-Hyun heard the scream through the comm system. Every security officer's channel was broadcasting from Sector 7. She recognized that scream. Kyung, the little girl who always waved at her during patrols. The child who brought her drawings of flowers. Something in Su-Hyun's mind shifted. It was not anger. It was not even thought. It was pure instinct. A child was in danger. Her child. Not biologically, but that did not matter. Humans protected their young. All young, she ran faster than she had ever run before. Behind her, 3 other human security officers followed. They had all heard the scream. They all knew what it meant. The station security forces were fighting hard, but the Cravath were winning. Their natural weapons and armor gave them too much advantage. Alien security officers fell back, trying to organize a defensive line. Then the humans arrived. Su-Hyun did not slow down. She saw a Cravath warrior holding 2 alien hostages, and she went through him like he was made of paper. Her momentum and training combined into devastating efficiency. The Cravath did not expect such aggression from something so small. He went down. The other humans followed her lead. They did not fight like other species, using tactics and positioning. They fought like humans had always fought, fast, aggressive, relentless. Where other species pulled back when injured, humans pushed forward. Pain just made them more determined. In the council chambers, Warlord Kravish himself had taken control. He was the largest Cravath anyone had seen, a warrior king who had personally killed thousands. He held a knife to Ambassador Krill's throat. "The council will surrender the colonies or I will execute every hostage," Kravesh declared. Captain Thex was across the chamber, his weapon destroyed. Other council members cowered. The Cravath forces had been too fast, too strong. Then Tywin stumbled into the chamber. He was bleeding badly from the wound on his shoulder. His uniform was torn. His face was covered in cuts, but his eyes were focused. He saw his daughter, found her hiding behind a piece of furniture. She was safe. Good. Warlord Kravesh saw him and laughed. "A human. You are wounded. You should be dead." "Let them go," Tywin said quietly. "You cannot stop me, little human. Look at you. You can barely stand." Tywin did look barely able to stand. He was swaying, pale from blood loss. Any other species would have collapsed already. But Tywin's body was flooding him with adrenaline, endorphins, and other chemicals designed to keep humans fighting even when dying. Kravesh released Krill and moved toward Tywin. "I will make an example of you. The galaxy will learn that humanity bleeds like everything else." They met in the center of the chamber. Kravesh was 3 times Tywin's size. His claws were like swords. His fangs dripped venom. He was a perfect killing machine evolved over millions of years. Tywin was a father who had heard his daughter scream. The fight lasted 11 seconds. Tywin moved like water, like wind, like something not quite real. He was not faster than the Cravath. He was not stronger, but he was more desperate, more determined, more willing to trade injury for position. He took cuts that would have stopped other species. He broke his own hand punching through a gap in Kravesh's armor. He used every dirty trick humans had learned in thousands of years of warfare. When it ended, Warlord Kravesh was on the ground. Tywin stood over him, swaying, barely conscious. His voice was almost gone. "Don't touch our children." Then he collapsed. Suhyun arrived seconds later with the other humans. They secured the chamber quickly and efficiently. The remaining Cravath warriors, seeing their leader defeated, began to retreat in disorder. They had expected an easy victory. They had not expected humans. Medical teams rushed in. Tywin was critical but stable. He would survive. All the hostages were safe. The Cravath were withdrawing from the station in full retreat. Later, in the medical bay, Kyung sat beside her father's bed. He was unconscious, covered in bandages and medical equipment, but he was breathing. He was alive. Dr. Yuna checked his vitals and shook her head in wonder. He should have died from blood loss alone. His body just refused to stop. Captain Thex stood in the doorway. The large Serosian warrior looked at the small human lying in the bed. "I have fought in many wars. I have seen warriors who knew no fear, but I have never seen anything like this." He was dying, yet he won. Ambassador Krill, his neck still bandaged where Kravesh had held the knife, spoke quietly. "The Cravath have never retreated from ground combat before. They pride themselves on never losing. But today they learned what the galaxy has been trying to tell them. Never threaten a human's family. Never threaten their young. They become something beyond reason." Suhyun stayed with Kyung, holding the little girl's hand. She understood what had happened. She had felt it too. That shift from thinking being to protective force. It was not something humans chose. It was something they became. "Is Daddy going to be okay?" Kyung asked in a small voice. "Yes," Suhyun promised. "Your daddy is very strong and very brave. He saved me," Kyung whispered. "The big scary monster wanted to hurt me, but Daddy stopped him." "That's what humans do," Suhyun said. "We protect the people we love." No matter what, across the galaxy the news spread fast. The Cravath Dominion, undefeated for 1,000 years, had retreated from battle. Retreated from humans. Within a day they had signed a non-aggression pact with the Council, citing unforeseen complications, but never explaining what had frightened them. Everyone knew anyway. They had seen the footage. They had watched a wounded human dying on his feet. defeat a warrior king through sheer refusal to give up. They had watched humans fight like demons to protect children who were not even their own species. The galaxy understood now. Humans were not monsters, but they could become monsters to fight monsters, and that was somehow more terrifying. The week after the Cravath incident, Celestial Station felt different. Humans walked the corridors and the reactions were mixed. Some species still showed fear, but others now offered gestures of respect. Some avoided humans even more than before. Others approached with tentative friendship. The council called an emergency session to discuss what they were calling the human question. What role should humans play in galactic society? Were they protectors or threats? Could any species truly coexist with beings who fought like demons when pushed? Dr. Nari arrived from Earth specifically to help with the situation. She was a psychologist who specialized in helping different species understand each other. She was in her 50s with kind eyes and a patient manner. She had been working with the First Contact team since humanity joined the council. She met with the human crew members in a private conference room. Daewon was there along with Suhyun Taewon, still recovering but insisting on attending, Hana, and several others. 20 humans total, looking confused and troubled. "You're all wondering why the galaxy fears you," Dr. Nari began. "You've seen the files. You know the facts. But you still don't feel it, do you? You don't feel dangerous." Heads shook around the room. Taewon spoke up, his voice still weak. "I just protected my daughter. Any parent would do the same." "Any human parent, yes," Dr. Nari agreed. "But that's the key point. What feels normal to us is extraordinary to everyone else. Let me explain something about Earth." She pulled up images of their home planet. Every single day on Earth something tries to kill humans. Weather, animals, disease, accidents. Our planet has been trying to kill us since our species began, so we evolved to survive. Not just to live, but to thrive in conditions that would destroy other species. Our baseline is their emergency, Daewon said, understanding clicking into place. Exactly. When you volunteered for that rescue, you saw dangerous conditions. They saw impossible conditions. When Taewon fought while dying, he saw protecting his child. They saw something that refused to obey the laws of biology. Suhyun leaned forward. "So what do? We can't just stop being human." "No, but we can help them understand, and we can understand ourselves better." Dr. Nari changed the display to show human psychology studies. Humans have something unique. We bond with anything. Our pets, our friends, even fictional characters in stories. That capacity for connection is both our greatest strength and what makes us most dangerous. "How is caring about others dangerous?" Hana asked. "Because you don't just care, you act. If a human loves something, they will die to protect it. Not as a rare heroic moment, but as a natural response. Most species love their own families and stop there. Humans adopt alien pets, cry over sad movies, and risk their lives for strangers. You can't help yourselves." Around the room, humans nodded. It was true. They had all felt it. That pull to help, to protect, to fix problems even at personal cost. The galaxy needs to learn that this trait makes us allies, not enemies, Dr. Nari continued. But first, we need to accept that we are different. Stop thinking of your abilities as normal. The next day, the Council of Elders met to hear testimony about humanity's future role. The chamber was filled with representatives from the 5 oldest civilizations in the galaxy. These beings had existed for thousands of years and had seen countless species rise and fall. They called Ambassador Mireille to speak. She was young for such an important position, only 32, but she had a gift for diplomacy and a deep understanding of both human and alien perspectives. She stood before the Council of Elders, small and calm, and began to speak. "Honored elders, you have asked what humanity's place should be in the galaxy. You have seen us rescue the trapped, fight the aggressive, and refuse to accept defeat. You are afraid of what we might become." The elders listened in silence. "I want to tell you what we are," Mireille continued. "Humans are survivors. We come from a world that tried to kill us every day, so we learned to be unkillable. We evolved to push through pain, to keep fighting when injured, to never give up. But that same evolution gave us something else." She paused, making eye contact with each elder. "It gave us empathy, because on a death world you need your tribe to survive. You need to care for the injured, protect the weak, and work together. So humans evolved to bond strongly, to feel others' pain as our own, to act when we see suffering. The same trait that makes us dangerous in combat, makes us loyal friends and passionate defenders. You ask if we understand our own power. The answer is no. We don't see ourselves as powerful because we have nothing to compare to. A human looks at a challenge and thinks, this is hard but possible. We don't know that other species look at the same challenge and think, this is impossible. One of the elders spoke, their voice like distant thunder. That ignorance of your own limits is what frightens us. You attempt things that should kill you. Yes, Mirai agreed. But we also succeed at things that would never be attempted otherwise. We save lives that would be abandoned. We solve problems that would be ignored. We protect people who have no one else to protect them. She pulled up footage from the Torvin 3 rescue. Daewon didn't think he was being brave. He just saw people who needed help. Taewon didn't think he was being a hero. He just saw his daughter in danger. This is who we are. We act when action is needed, even if it should be impossible. Another elder spoke. What happens when human aggression is directed wrongly? You have shown you can defeat species that were considered unbeatable. Then we will be monsters, Mirai said honestly. Humans have the capacity for great violence. Our history shows this. But our history also shows that we are most dangerous when we are protecting something. Make us your enemies, and yes, we will be terrifying. Make us your allies, and we will die before we let harm come to you. The chamber was silent for a long moment. Then Elder Prax, who had advocated for human contact from the beginning, spoke. You offer us a choice. Fear what you are, or embrace what you can be. I offer truth, Mirai replied. Humans will never be like other species. We will always push too hard, care too much, and refuse to quit. You can try to contain that, or you can direct it toward helping the galaxy. The choice is yours. The Council of Elders deliberated for 3 days. In that time, life on the station continued. Daewon returned to his engineering work. Soo-hyun resumed her security patrols. Taewon healed and spent time with Kyung. Kyung had drawn a picture of the incident. It showed her father as a large figure protecting her from a monster. But around the edges, she had drawn other figures too. Aliens and humans holding hands, working together. She titled it, Friends Help Friends. When the council reached their decision, they called another assembly. Elder Prax announced the verdict. We have decided. Humanity will be offered a new role within the Galactic Council. You will serve as peacekeepers and emergency responders. When disasters strike, when rescue seems impossible, when protection is needed, humans will answer the call. You will be our shield against those who threaten peace and our hands reaching into danger to pull others to safety. Relief swept through the human delegation. It was not perfect, but it was acceptance. It was understanding. However, Elder Prax continued, this comes with conditions. Humans must receive training in cultural sensitivity. You must learn to understand that your capabilities frighten others, and adjust your behavior accordingly. And most importantly, you must never use your abilities for conquest or domination. Mirai bowed deeply. We accept these conditions. Humanity has no desire for conquest. We only want to help. Then let it be recorded, Prax said formally. On this day, humanity takes its place as the wardens of the council. May you always protect rather than destroy. In the following weeks, things settled into a new normal. The Cravath Dominion was true to their treaty, avoiding all contact with council space. Other aggressive species took note. Humanity had defeated the undefeatable. That news spread fast, but so did other news. Stories of humans helping in disasters across dozens of worlds, of human medics treating alien patients with the same care they gave their own species, of human engineers solving problems that had stymied others for years, of human teachers and diplomats and artists sharing their culture and learning from others. Daewon stood in the observation deck one evening, looking out at the stars. Jiwon joined him, standing quietly beside him. Do you still feel confused about why they feared us? She asked. No, he admitted. I understand now. We're dangerous because we don't know when to quit, because we bond too easily and care too much, because we'll throw ourselves into fire to save others. He paused. But I also understand that these things make us who we are. I wouldn't change them even if I could. Neither would I, Jiwon agreed. The galaxy needs someone who doesn't know when something is impossible, someone who will try anyway. Below them in the medical bay, Taewon was being released to go home. Kyung held his hand as they walked through the corridors. Other species moved aside, but several stopped to nod respectfully. One elderly alien even smiled at Kyung and offered her a small gift, a toy from his homeworld in the security office. Soo-hyun was training new recruits, both human and alien. She was teaching them not just how to fight, but when to fight and when to talk, how to protect without threatening, How to be strong without being feared.